Without further ado, let's bring our panelists up here. First, we have the producer of the game, Mr. Suichi Kobayashi. We have the character designer, they're on their way. We have the director of the game, on their way now. Mr. Hiroshi Ogawa.
They just passed me.
And we also have the voice of Victor, Mr. Crispin Freeman.
Woo!
We have the voice of Miki Sylvester, Eden Regal. The voice of Relia, Tessa Netting. And the voice of Anne, Miss Erica Luttrell. The voice of Fiore Brunelli, Miss May Castle. And the voice of the rogue Emerson, Mr. Christopher Corey Smith. Okay, let's have a seat. Let's get into it, guys. Just so you all know, there will be a time for a short Q&A at the very end, about 15 minutes, and we'll let you know when you can start lining up. So just to kick things off, I wanted to ask Mr. Kobayashi-san, Mr. Ogawa-san, why it's been 7 years since the last Star Ocean. Why now? Why make this new iteration of the game now?
Star Ocean って皆さん知ってますか？ちょっと安心しました。はい、すごいずっとですね、7年間くらい新作を作れなかったんですけど、やっぱりスクエアエニックスという会社は RPG の会社ですので、今ちゃんと新しい形でのスターオーシャンを作りたかったっていうのが一番の、目的ですね。でやはりアメリカでもですね、今まで過去シリーズ皆さんに楽しんでいただいてたんで、絶対アメリカでは発売したいと思ってたんで、今日集まっていただいたんですごい幸せです。
So it's been 7 years, and we really couldn't release it until now, but because Square Enix is an RPG company, we do make RPGs, I really wanted to create a new Star Ocean right now at this moment. And because all of our previous titles has been accepted really well in America, I wanted to bring it over to the States. And I'm really happy to see everyone here today.
Quick follow-up question. So, what you spoke of the previous Star Oceans and this one. What makes this one different than the previous Star Oceans?
では今作のスターオーシャンは前作に比べてどう違うんでしょうか。
よろしくお願いします。
Hello.
ですね、今回に関してですが、一番大きく違うところはシームレスというふうなことに尽きるかなというふうに思っております。バトルとイベントというふうな形のつなぎがですね、一応シームレスというふうな形で作らさせていただいているんですが、今回のコンセプト五反田の方でですね、ダイナミックカットシーンと呼ばれるイベント、シームレスなイベントを作りたいというのがスタートにありまして、そこをベースに、バトルがシームレスにつながるような形で作らさせていただきました。ただ、過去作の良かったところは残すような形で作っていますので、エンカウントの良さを残した上で、新しい形のスターオーシャンという形で作らさせてもらえたのが良かったのかなと思っております。
The biggest change would be that we incorporated a seamless transition between battles and events and just roaming around on the map. This is because Gotanda, he's from Trias, he wanted to have the dynamic cutscene incorporated into the game as a seamless cutscene sequence, and that is because that is why we ended up having all the battle sequences and all the other events seamlessly connected together. But we also wanted to have that kind of RPG feel that we had in our previous titles, and to leave the feeling you get when you encounter enemies. And so that is how that is the approach we took, and that is how we ended up with the game as it is today.
One more follow-up. What makes this? Everyone knows the stories of the previous Star Ocean. What makes this a true Star Ocean story?
では皆様がもうすでに過去作のスターオーシャンをご存知だと思うんですけども、今回のこのスターオーシャンの物語がどのようになぜ今回もしっかりスターオーシャンというシリーズの中に入っていくような物語になっているんでしょうか。
今回はですね、スターオーシャン3の前の時代の物語になってます。ちゃんとストーリーというか歴史はちゃんと続いているもので、多分いろんな作品の伏線になっているようなところを、描いているというようなところを感じてもらえるんじゃないかと思ってます。何にせよ、スターオーシャンとしてトラディショナルな今回は作りにしてます。あえて木を照らった感じのシステムではなくトラディショナルで遊びやすく、ですが先ほど小川さんが言ってたように、シームレスな要素とかも入れて技術的には新しいものをやってます。安心して遊べて、その世界のつながりも感じられるっていうのが今回のスターオーシャンだと思ってます。
So the storyline for Star Ocean 5 takes place before Star Ocean 3. All the storyline, the history is connected. The exact story is not, you don't need to have played the other titles, but it is the story before Star Ocean 3. And so the people who've played the previous titles should be able to feel how it leads up into the different storylines that are in the different Star Ocean series. But we did want to leave the traditional RPG feeling. We wanted to keep it a little traditional and easier to play for new players of the series. So it does feel a little traditional when you play it, but we do have like the seamlessness, and we did incorporate new technologies of this generation.
Let's shift the question over to the voice actors. Mr. Crispin Freeman, Eden, and Christopher, I know you've played previous characters in Star Oceans. What was the difference between this version and the previous ones, and what was the experience like?
Ohayou gozaimasu. Sorry. My Japanese is terrible.
You're fine.
I think one of the big differences between working on this as opposed to earlier versions of Star Ocean is that the platform allows so much more detail. When I worked on the earlier Star Oceans, we were limited with how much they could put in the game in terms of voice actors and story and whatnot. And now the computing and storage possibilities of the platforms are so much greater that things can be a lot more nuanced and detailed than they ever were before.
Makes sense. Eden?
Well, this is my first one, so there's.
What was your experience like?
I agree with that. There was tremendous possibility for. It's a really massive game, and there's so many interpersonal relationships. As an actor, it was really wonderful to be able to tell such a comprehensive story, and the storage capacity, certainly would contribute to that. I loved being a part of it. I felt like there was a lot of attention to performance and to telling the story in a real and emotional way. In addition to the excitement and the adventure and the battles, which are, I think, extremely dramatic and fun, and the transition between the story and the battle will be so seamless that it's going to feel just like this huge, comprehensive tale that you get to experience by going through it, and the arc is really cool. So I was thrilled to be a part of this game and play Miki and be able to tell this awesome story.
That's awesome. Great to hear that. I'm so glad you had a great experience. And how about Christopher?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this. I just got my mind blown. Until right now, I did not know that Star Ocean 5 takes place before Star Ocean 3. I was in Star Ocean 4. I was Grand Admiral Gagarin? Yuri Gagarin, no, he was the Russian guy. Anyway, and so now I'm sitting here thinking, wait, I played that guy, but this takes place before that guy, and then before 3, because I was in either 3 or 2, as well as that character you may remember, Utility. I think he's in a lot of stuff. Looking at that guy, Google it. But it was a tremendously fun experience to work on this particular Star Ocean. Emerson's such a great character. I had a blast with him, and I would come in and I would get to hear all the other clips that everybody else had been doing over either that day or the previous days that I got to work off of, and everybody's just so wonderful. This cast is so amazing. They did a great job assembling us, and I am really honored to be a part of it.
You're honored that you and also, like Eden, who is new to the series, Tessa, Ame, and Erica are also new to the series. Let's welcome them. So you're new to the Star Ocean universe. Do you have any fun stories from the recording session?
I'll go. Hi guys. This is actually my first time ever recording a video game ever.
Yeah.
So it was blowing my mind in all of the best ways, and really, she is so cute and so small, and she has to like run up to catch up to everyone else. And I just remember how many times I had to say the word Fidel. I had to say his name probably like 100 different times, like in different ways. Fidel, like every way you can imagine. And also, I just really loved Relia's relationships with all the other characters in the game, and how they sort of brought out her personality. Because at first she was so shy, but then when she like meets this whole family, and it's just like joining this new voiceover family. So it was a great experience. I loved it so much. So thank you guys for having me.
So I guess I'm going next. I had a blast recording Star Ocean. It was so amazing. One kind of hilarious moment, I mean, I had so many kind of fight terms that I used. One of them, hilariously, I'm not sure if they ended up using it, was hammer time. The soundboard guy who I was working with during that session, when I came back the next day, like edited it into MC Hammer's. It was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. So I had a blast. Again, yes, great cast. It's such a beautiful game. I mean, seeing all of it after the fact, I was blown away. So yeah, I had a great time.
Hi everyone, I'm May Castle. I play Fiore. Woo! Yes, that's what I thought. So it's really funny because usually when you get a breakdown as an actor for an audition, you're seeing it in black and white. And when I first saw Fiore, I thought, okay, like cool costume, you know, nice skirt, big hat. She had these like diamonds on her legs, so I thought they were really nice tights. And then when I got to the session and I saw her in color, and I realized that it was skin, it took on a whole other level. So thank you to Akiman for designing such a beautiful character. A character that I know men everywhere are going to be very grateful for, because a lot of play every tweet I get is about, you know, her costume. And it was just so much fun to play, and then to see that she had a tail on top of it was, you know, that put it over the top. So we just had fun every single day, and it was, you know, again, great to be a part of such a fun cast, and yeah.
Speaking of Pokemon and the character design that these fantastic voice actors embodied, the characters are very anime-oriented now, and as the audience can tell by the footage and also the posters that they got when they're on their way in, how did you come to the decision to create them this way versus like a more realistic design?
秋間さんへの質問なんですけども、今回のスター・オーシャン5のキャラクターですけども、どちらかというとアニメ的な感じられますが、前作のスター・オーシャンのラストホープのよりリアルな雰囲気ではなく、今回のそのアニメ調の雰囲気にされた理由とは何でしたか？
プロデューサーさんの方から、3を今回の雰囲気を3の雰囲気だというふうに聞いて、あとといっても4もなんだかんだアニメ的なアプローチがあったと思うんですけども、シェーダー的な問題とかそういうことがあって、ちょっとリアルっぽくなりましたけども、もともと日本の JRPG はやっぱりこの日本のアニメとか漫画文化で培ったこの様式美みたいなものが根幹となっているので、今回もそれになぞらえてやりつつも、あと PS4 というハイディテールが可能なマシンに合わせるように、要は漫画チックなのとリアルなものの中間ぐらいで実在感が出せればいいなという、そういう感じでアプローチしようと思います。
So it was definitely because the producer wanted to have characters that were closer to the image of Star Ocean 3. Now Star Ocean 4 still took an anime-like approach, but with shaders and whatnot that went in, it ended up being a little bit more realistic. But just JRPGs in general, it's all based off of the aesthetics that we grew up with the Japanese anime and manga culture. And so it does skew towards more of an anime type art. But this time, because it is on a PS4 and it's a high detailed machine, I try to have something that's in between like manga and like real, realistic art, and that is the approach that I take.
So, speaking of the difficulties of the design, shifting back to the voice actors, what were some of the, and this is open to all of you, what were some of the difficulties in bringing a originally Japanese voice to, and creating an English voice for it?
Matching the time. Because obviously the languages are so different, so we actually had to match the timestamp, obviously, of the moving mouths and the moving action of already the Japanese recorded voices, and so it was just kind of like, okay, you have a minute and 32 seconds, all right, just like incorporate emotion in that amount of time. It was intense, but an adventure.
Whenever we have to dub something from Japanese into English, there's the question of what is the process, and sometimes what will happen is we can do it just whatever feels right in terms of timing. Sometimes we are told it must be no longer than this amount of time because that's how it's done, and so if it's shorter, that's okay, but it can't be longer. For Star Ocean 5, we had to match the exact timing of the Japanese line within like 0.2 of a second, I think.
Yeah.
This causes a sort of left-right brain shuffle in your head, trying to maintain both the technical accuracy of the timing, but without losing the emotional performance of what you're trying to do. So it's some of the most difficult acting that I know is out there. I mean, this is like opera or musical theater, where you have to match the timing of something precisely and be emotionally believable, but that was 0.2 of a second too long, so we got to do it again, you know. And so that can be really challenging and trying. But when you get it, it really works and it's satisfying. So I know for me, when we finally nail it, it's sort of worth it for the effort that we have to put in to get it just so.
Have an amazing now sense of what exactly 1/10 or 2/10 of a second is. Like, I felt at times that I was a human metronome, that I would do a take and say, oh, it's 0.1 too long. We have to do it again. It was extremely technically challenging, but in the recording process, we never ever lost focus on what was important, which was performance. And so they were very generous with the amount of time that we could take to get a line just right, in terms of intonation, the emotional context for it, and then also fitting into the technical specifications so that they could get the most possible information onto this game, so that we could tell such a huge story. I appreciated that.
Like Crispin was saying, it was very musical for me while I was recording, especially screams, because screams had to go on for a certain number of seconds, and I found myself sort of doing this like tribal dance, so I would get like the thing in my body, and then I would scream and still kind of like keep the beat with my feet, and it kind of worked. So it was sort of finding. It was taking that sort of length of time and finding it in your body, and then it was recording it on top of it and putting the performance on top of it. So it was very technical, but it got easier once you started doing it. The more that you did it, the more that you sort of felt what was too long, what was too short. But it was satisfying. It was fun.
I don't know if I'm speaking for all of the actors up here, but I think there's also a sense when you're doing a game like this that already has, a different language version, and you're doing the English, you want to create the character and make it your own, but you also want to give a nod to the other voice actor who has, done it previously. And so for me, I felt like the fight scenes particularly were something that I was trying to match. So anything, Fiore had, the Japanese actress had a little bit of a higher pitch than me, so she was like a, yeah! I was like a, yeah! So I would try to match her as well. So like you said, intonation was a big thing too. And then the rest of the time, just trying to create your own character.
Just to follow up on the aspect of timing, I know that all of us have spent a lot of time dubbing anime from Japanese into English. And when you dub anime, obviously you're working with existing picture, and you have to match lip flaps. And what that does is that sort of robs us as actors of imbuing it with our own timing, because we're locked into the timing that already exists in the picture. And so while it was slightly limiting to have to fit our performances into the parameters of ins and outs, it was very nice to be able to imbue our characters with our own sense of personal timing, because we didn't have to match the literal performance that had come before us, and I really had fun with that. I really appreciated that aspect of it. One of the things that was kind of funny was that we all did get really good at matching the timing, and we would try to get as many lines done in a session as possible, and there was always a goal. It's like, oh, Crispin did this much, how many can you do? And so I would come in, and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, and there were a couple of times where we got up to whatever the magic number was, and I would go 1, 2, 3 beyond it, and I'd go, yes! Yeah, I got the goal for the day. And I would come back in the next day, and they went, nah, Eden came in, she beat you. And that happened like 2 or 3 times with Eden, so I knew that if I was in first and she was coming in after me, that it was going to be a short-lived victory. I have no idea. I don't know.
I like to think I got the win, but I don't know that for sure. I doubt that. I think that information is probably highly classified, because the two of us would duke it out.
We can start having people line up while I ask them this last question for a short Q&A. But the last question to the entire panel is, what are you most excited about for new and old fans alike to experience when they play the game? Yes, so we can start with Kobayashi-san.
お一人ずつご回答いただきたいんですけども、今回新規もそうなんですけど、過去作のスターオーシャンの馴染みのあるプレイヤーに対して最も体験してほしいと思われることは何ですか？
最も体験してほしいというさっきグラフィックの話もあったと思うんですけど、今回はですね、やっぱりその JRPG っていうものを考えたときに、やはり JRPG ってストーリーとかゲームの体験をやはり日本のアニメや漫画の文化となぞらえるべきだろうと思ったので、広大な、空間を自分の思い出になる冒険を作るっていうよりも、アニメの世界の中の主人公になって、なんか女の子にチヤホヤされたりとかですね、そういうのが楽しめればいいなと思って今回スターオーシャンを作っておりますので、その辺楽しんでもらえるんだったらいいんじゃないかなと思います。
So there was a talks about graphics earlier, but because for JRPGs, I feel that the story or the game is the experience that you want from the game, and it is more based on a Japanese anime and manga, and so instead of creating your own experience, I feel that it should be something that you could become the protagonist and maybe become popular with girls inside the game, but just have like that kind of experience that you are the main character, and that's what I really want everyone to enjoy in this game.
僕はですね、昔ストリートファイターっていうゲームを作ったんですけども、今はやってないんですけど、昔のゲームっていうのはとにかくシンプルなピクセルでできているので、例えばこのおっぱいを描くにしても大した表現できないわけですよ。でも会社辞めてですね、フリーのイラストライターになったらまたゲームの仕事が来てですね、今度はおっぱいを描こうと思えばですね、めちゃめちゃ綺麗に描けるということが分かりましたんで、じゃあ細かいことができるんだったらばやろうじゃないかということで、ちょっと今までできなかったこと、昔できなかったことに対する復習で結構線多め、日本のアニメってのは線少ないべきものなんですけども、ゲームだから1回書けばずっと出るんで、細かい感じのものを書けるんだったらばそういうところにも力を入れつつ、もちろんデザイン的にはちゃんと目的を持った感じでやってはいるんですけど、とにかく僕の過去の作品に対する復習的なものみたいなのも、僕的には見てもらいたいなと思います。
So I was a creator of Street Fighter before, but games in the past were simple pixels, and you couldn't really try to draw cleavage that well. But now after I quit Capcom and I became a free illustrator, I found out that I got jobs and I was now able to draw beautiful cleavage for
No wonder why they're laughing.
It's like I'm getting revenge at what I couldn't before. And of course, I do, because instead of an anime, this is a game and I could really draw into detail for the characters. And so every single character, I do have concept behind it. But I would be really happy if you really look at the revenge that I got to my
Oh, man. Now I know why the others are laughing.
ですね、今回7年ぶりということで、かなり昔のタイトルを遊んでない方にも遊んでいただければなというふうに考えまして、過去作の良かった部分を残しつつ、今風のテンポ感で遊べるような形で今回ゲームを作ってみました。メインとなる部分としては、テンポ感よくドライブ感というかですね、割と後先というか息つ つく間もなくですね、いろいろな展開が体感できるような形で、ゲームのテンポ感を調整しています。なので、過去作をやったことがない方もですね、戸惑わずに遊べるように作ってみましたので、そういった部分、新鮮な形で遊んでいただければ良いのかなというふうに思います。あんまり面白いこと言えなくて申し訳ないんですけども、こんな感じでよろしいでしょうか。
Since it's been 7 years since the past title, I really wanted to keep what was good in the past titles, but still keep up with the current generation, the feel, the tempo, the driving feel that you get with the current generation game. And so I did want to keep that kind of experience. And especially for those people who have never played a Star Ocean title, we try to keep it so that it's really easy to get into. And so whoever has not played, I really want you to pick it up and just try the game. And I'm sorry I can't say anything funny, but that is what I really want everyone to experience.
Just so we can get to the Q&A real quick. So if anyone from the voice actors group has quick answers, we can get to those and we'll get to the Q&A.
I just have to say, to be frank, I'm a little worried now because I'm insecure about my own cleavage. So I didn't realize it was going to be so important, so hopefully you'll still enjoy the game.
Crispin.
I'm also most excited about the cleavage. I'm excited for people to deep dive into Miki's nerding out over Signaturgy because she is pretty entertaining in those moments.
I'm really excited for you guys to meet Relia and for you to go on her journey and sort of go with her through this story with all of these friends that she makes, and they help her, and so you can help her too.
I think the word epic is thrown around a lot these days, but I have to say making this game really felt epic, and seeing the game, it feels epic, and I just hope that you have a really epic experience, especially with Fiore's cleavage.
I'm just going to say cleavage. I'm excited for you guys to experience fantasy, adventure, and above all, magic.
I really think you guys are going to enjoy all of the character interaction. The dialogue is first rate, the characters are first rate. I'm particularly fond of the character interactions between Emerson and Anne. I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of apologize to Erica, don't take it personally. I think if Star Ocean 5 had a human resources department, Emerson would be called into it frequently and get lectured. And I did that. So, and cleavage.
That seems to be the word of the day.
Get off to our first question.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Uri. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And Star Ocean is such a big franchise with so many history, so many different themes and stories. I want to know, what does Star Ocean mean to every one of you? What does that mean to you?
はじめまして、シアトルワシントンから教えていただいたです。スターオーシャンは本当に大きなシリーズが IP なんですけども、皆様にとってスターオーシャンとはどういったようなタイトルなんでしょうか。
Let's do Kobayashi-san, Nugawa-san.
なるほど。ですね、僕にとってもスターオーシャンはすごい大きいタイトルで、スターオーシャンがやりたいからスクエア・エニックスにいるみたいな感じなんですね。スクエア・エニックス、多分僕スターオーシャンをやらなくなったらやめるんじゃないかなってくらいスターオーシャンが好きなんですけど、それをこちらの方でもね、このように楽しんでいただける人たちがいるっていうことが励みなので、より新しいものを作っていきたいなと思っています。あとはですね、おっぱいとかお尻とかああいうのがいっぱい出るのがいいと思います。はい。
Star Ocean really is a big title, and I'm actually a big fan of the Star Ocean series as well. And it's not too much to even say that I'm at Square Enix just because I wanted to work on Star Ocean. And like I might even quit Square Enix if the Star Ocean franchise doesn't go well anymore. But I'm just happy to see everyone here like this today, and it really does give me a lot of energy and hope until the future. And I also think that games should have more cleavage and
ですね、僕はですね、トライエンスに入って初めて制作に携わったのが「スター・オーシャン2」セカンドストーリーになります。でそれから「スター・オーシャン3」を作ってちょっと時間は空いたんですけど、今回「スター・オーシャン5」に携わらせていただいて、いろいろと、先ほどのお二方のお話じゃないんですけど、おっぱい等々も含めてですね、だいぶ自分の趣味をですね、気兼ねなくいられるタイトルなので、非常にいつも楽しく作らさせていただいているタイトルになっていますね。なのでその辺の部分、趣味が合う方含めて共有できているタイトルかなと思っていますので、今後もいろいろとやっていければいいのかなというふうには思っています。
So when I first started at Trice, the first game that I actually worked on was Star Ocean 2, Second Story, and then there was Star Ocean 3, and then now it's been a while, but now Star Ocean 5. There were some mentions about cleavage this entire time here, but I am able to really put in what I like into this title. They give me a lot of freedom to do what I like with this title, and so I'm really excited to be working on Star Ocean once again, and I really had fun again this time.
Hello, my name is Robert Johnson from Chino Hills, California. Until I got really into Star Ocean, I really didn't care for the JRPGs, but Star Ocean just changed my mind completely, and I thank you for making a really great game. And I just hope you guys keep going, because really, I didn't have any care for the JRPGs until I started playing Star Ocean. The third one was awesome. Yeah.
カリフォルニアのチノヒルズからいらっしゃった方なんですけども、本当にスター・オーシャンが好きで、スター・オーシャンはそれまでは JRPG に全く興味がなかったそうなんですね。なので、スター・オーシャンで本当に人生が変わったと言っても過言ではないと思っています。スター・オーシャンを作って。
Next question.
My name is Wesley. I live in Los Angeles, California. I first played Star Ocean, but I played the fourth one for the PlayStation 3. It was incredibly fun. They also tried the second one, which was also good. But I'm still yet trying to clear the third game. So my question would be, what was the best memorable thing of being part of the Star Ocean universe?
初めてのスター・オーシャンのタイトルがスター・オーシャン4なんですね。でそこからスター・オーシャン2をプレイして、今ちょうどスター・オーシャン3をクリアしようとしているところみたいです。でそれで皆様の中でスター・オーシャンの最も記憶に残っている、一番記憶に残っている部分というのはどこでしょうか。
So let's do this. We'll have Kabuyashi-san, then we'll have Crispin and Christopher, since they've done the previous Star Ocean as well.
小林さんと声優の方々に。
シリーズで僕はですね、女の子にモテないんですよ。なんですけど、スター・オーシャンは女の子に主人公がモテるんで、いろんな女の子にモテる気持ちを楽しむのが僕はスター・オーシャンの中で一番楽しい感じです。
I'm actually not popular with girls, but in Star Ocean, you could really enjoy being popular with girls, and that's in games you can, but Star Ocean really has the best experience with that, and so that's what I like about the Star Ocean series.
I'm not popular with Japanese game developers, but in Star Ocean I get to meet them and be on stage with them.
Right.
I can tell a little anecdote when I was working on Star Ocean 3, I believe it was, playing Albel Knox. Oh, you know him. We broke the recording program. Back then, as we still use, we use a program called Pro Tools. And Star Ocean 3 had 14 hours of cutscenes. And they had loaded it all up into one recording session, and as we were recording Albel, we got farther and farther into the session until the computer refused to record anymore.
Oh.
It just stopped and gave up and said no. The computer says no. And so we had to figure out that the problem was that Pro Tools would not allow you to record anything longer than 12 hours in one session. Because who would ever make a story that's more than 12 hours long? Clearly, they had no experience with JRPGs. So we ended up having to split up the session in order to continue. But yes, we broke the program working on Star Ocean 3.
My hero. Well, first of all, Crispin, I'm convinced that once you work on the cleavage, you'll be much more popular with Japanese games. So it can be done.
Man.
I have to say that the best part of working on Star Ocean 5 was being in this cast. Because you guys are, I don't want to belabor the point, but you guys are amazing. And I'm really, really proud and honored to be among you. One of the interesting things, when I auditioned for Star Ocean 5, they didn't tell me what the project was. I went in and I read for it, and it was Project Red. Oh. And that's just the way they refer to it. And I remember going in on the first day of recording, and when I finally saw the script and I realized, oh my God, I'm in Star Ocean. This is incredible, but no one would refer to it as Star Ocean. They still refer to it as Red. In fact, in our contracts, they said, and you must use air quotes when you say Red. And so I would get a call from my agent, and they would say, well, they want to know if you can come in for a recording session for Red. And I'm like, I know what you're talking about. You don't have to use this Red thing. I know what it is, but I'll keep your little secret. So that was just one of the best moments when I realized, when the light bulb went off and I went, oh my God, I'm recording Star Ocean. I'm part of this universe again. And I was so happy to be back.
So we do have one more question. Sorry for the rest of you guys. If you do have further questions, we do have a signing with the developers at Kensho Hall at 2 p.m. So we'll see you there. But we do have time for one more question.
One more. That's the last one.
Hi, Kudo from Barstow. Other JRPGs, Final Fantasy in particular, are trying to move sort of farther away from traditional RPG formulas, but Star Ocean seems to be trying to evolve sort of inside of the traditional RPG formula. What's the decision process there?
Good question.
バースト、カリフォルニアのバーストからいらっしゃったと思うんですけども、今最近特にファイナルファンタジーシリーズであったりとかはトラディショナルなJRPG から少しずつ離れていっているように感じるんですけども、スター・オーシャンは逆にそのど真ん中に中心に行っているように感じられるんですが、その決断というのはどういうふうにされたのでしょうか。なぜそういうふうにされたのでしょうか。
それいろんなメディアの方とかにもよく聞かれたんですけど、今回やっぱり7年ぶりということもあり、昔からこのシリーズを遊んでくれてた人、そして今回新しく遊ぶ人に極力ですね、戸惑いがなく、これはスター・オーシャンだなと思ってもらえるように、あえてトラディショナルな道を選びました。でもちろんですね、開発側としてはもっと新しいチャレンジをいっぱいしたいということも強く思っておりまして、今回のスターオーシャン5を皆さんがですね遊んでいただいて、少しでも面白いと思っていただけるようでしたら引き続きですね、今度は全く新しいタイプのものも 作ってみたいとは考えています。
So since it's been 7 years, this has been asked by a lot of media as well, but it's been 7 years, and for fans from the past and all these new players, we wanted to create a game that doesn't confuse them, so that when you pick it up, the minute you play it, you know that it's Star Ocean, and that is why we went for a more traditional approach this time. It was actually on purpose, but now we want to take on, all of the developers do want to take on new challenges, and so if possible, if we are able to do something new again, I really want to do and try ourselves, challenge ourselves to try something completely new next time.
Thank you guys so much for coming to the Star Ocean panel. Let's give a big round of applause to the entire panel.
That's it from me here. On to the next panel. See you guys later.
Celebrate with us even further. We do have a launch party at Lounge 21.